Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. And this is going to be the first video on this gloomy Sunday of the new series that I'm going to be starting. And it's called Book Breakdown. And basically what's going to happen is I'm going to read a book and then I'm going to give my thoughts on the book, reviews, what I liked, what I didn't like, and that's pretty much it. So the first book that we are going to be reviewing is going to be this book called Crush It by Mr. Gary Vee. And if you do know me, you know that I love Gary Vee and everything that he's putting out. He's been a huge inspiration to me, so that's why we're going to be starting with this. And so without further ado, let's get into it. So this book is obviously written by Gary Vee. Like I said before, he's been a huge inspiration to me. And this book, it was released on October 13th, 2009. Which is, a pretty long time ago. It's 11 years now, basically 11 years. And, it kind of shows his age, but we'll get into that later. The suggested retail on this is $18 US or $22 Canadian, and it's also 142 pages. So my intro to Gary Vee was his video talking about what to do after graduating. I'm gonna not link it, but I'm gonna put like a little picture of it right here. You might recognize it. And that was my first intro to him. And basically, I liked his message. I liked what he was saying. I liked what he was putting out. And, I found out that he had books. You can see two more behind me, the orange one right there, and then the yellow one right beside that one. Those are two more of his books. And, I found that he was putting out books and stuff like that, and I was getting back into reading, and so I decided, let's pick it up. This is my first reintroduction, I guess you could say, back to reading, because when I was in school, they kind of forced books on you, and I wasn't really interested in those kinds of books, so, I didn't really like to read. But now, I have picked up reading again. I do read every day. And so I started out with this one. It's just a little small book, like I said. It's not even 150 pages. And, this is my first, like I said, reintroduction back into reading. The first part of this book is basically talking, about his life and like what he was doing. He was working at his dad's liquor store, and they were doing $3 million in sales prior to selling online. And then he grew that business from $3 million to $60 million in sales, not in profit, in sales. And, that's basically what the first part of the book is about. He was talking about how he came here from Russia, and, he was an immigrant and this and that, and, all that kind of stuff. He then goes on to talk about the internet and how it was going to be a big thing. And keep in mind, this was back in 2009. So the internet was already, a pretty decent size, but, that was 11 years ago. The game has definitely changed. Everything has definitely changed. Business, and everything. And basically, he was saying that back then, that was the time to, like grow a side hustle or grow a brand, and monetize doing something that you love. He then goes on to talk about if you're unhappy at your current job, like you're dreading it, like you don't like Sunday night. And you basically live for Friday, you basically live for the weekend. And, he talks about it and how you should be using your weekends, you should be using your evenings to, grow a brand and, do something on the side that you love. If that's, cooking, if that's, movie reviews, whatever it is, like you could talk about anything, and that there's going to be a market for it. In a lot of his books, if you read his books, you'll see that he can basically not tell the future, but he can predict the future very well. Just like Elon Musk, you can see his book, or somebody that wrote a book on him right there. I'm currently reading that one, but he's almost like Elon, but in like the business and like marketing world. Whereas like with Elon, he's like overall, like he can basically, predict the future, or, he can do things to kind of push humanity forward and like push the agenda. Like if you kind of get what I'm saying with Tesla, SpaceX, and all these other sorts of companies and things that he's doing. But this isn't a video about Elon. Let's get back to Gary. But yeah, basically what he was saying is that, you know, if you're unhappy at your current job, then, you know, now was the time to, you know, start a side hustle, grow it, you know, nurture it, fertilize it, and, you know, basically eventually, hopefully you can make it into your career, you know. And then he goes on to talk about Facebook and Twitter, and, you know, how they were changing the game. And I mean, really and truly, they did change the game, because now you have Facebook ads and people running ads on Facebook. You have Twitter ads. Obviously, you have Instagram. You know, you have all these other types of platforms. You know, TikTok is like, there's like 800 million users a month, and apparently it grew faster than Instagram, and, you know, all these other types of social media platforms, and how you can use them to, you know, grow a brand, and then eventually, you know, you can hopefully make that your actual career, and then you can leave your job that, you know, you're currently at, and then you can wake up every day doing something that, you know, you're doing something that you love. Another big point that I took out of this book was, you know, he talked about differentiating yourself from others, because obviously, you know, you don't want to really be doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, because why would you want to even do that anyway? But at the same time, you know, authenticity is key. You don't want people that put on a show, you know, in front of the camera. You don't want people that put on a persona, or they act different, or, you know, anything like that. So you have to be different, but at the same time, you still have to be yourself, because he said that, you know, customers, or however you want to view your followers, or, you know, whatever it is, whether you're selling a product or you're putting out content like how I am, you know, if you're being fake, or if you're not authentic or anything like that, people can smell that better than you think. People can realize that you're doing that, you know. So that's one of the keys that I took away from this book. Another thing that I took away from this book was that he was talking about getting your website up and getting your domain name, you know, and all those types of things. And he was talking about one that I specifically remember called Bob the Builder Man, or Bob the Budget Man .tv, or something like that. And obviously, you know, this book came out in 2009, so, you know, it was showing its age. And he was talking about different websites and different social media, you know, platforms that he was kind of keeping his eyes on. And he was talking about one like Minionville or something. That was like apparently a news site. There was another one called Plaxo. I think there was another one called High Five, and then there was like Hebo and Friend Feed and Orchid. And, you know, I looked into all these, and majority of them, like 5 out of 6 of them, don't exist anymore. So, you know, that's so those are definitely examples that show how not outdated, but, you know, how old this book is. This book is definitely showing its age, because like I said before, it is 11 years old at this point. You know, one thing that I really like about Gary, and, you know, I'm assuming he runs his business like this as well, because he's always preaching it, is he talks about caring about the customer, and the fact that caring about your customer should be your #1 priority, because without them, obviously you wouldn't be anything. You wouldn't have a business, you wouldn't have money, you know, you wouldn't be able to do any of the things that you are doing. So, you know, that's one thing that I like about it. He then went on to talk about monetizing your business or your side hustle with things like, you know, advertising, speaking engagements, you know, retail articles, seminars, books, TV, you know, basically anywhere that you can put yourself out there, because the more eyes you have on you, obviously the better for you. One thing that he says is that he's not chasing money, he's chasing attention. And obviously the more people, like I said, that you have watching you, it'll probably, you know, be better for you. But see, here's the thing, business is always changing, and, you know, the world is always changing. And, you know, there are some businesses that, you know, they probably saw social media and they said, you know, it was just a fad, or it was just, you know, it was going to be temporary. And then obviously, you know, look where we are today. And I guarantee you that some radio stations probably said, you know, TV is not going to be anything. You know, it's just a fad. It's gonna, you know, it'll blow by, it'll blow past, like it'll blow over. And obviously TV turned into what it was, movies turned into what they were, social media turned into what it was and what it is today, you know, which is a very big part of everybody's life. You know, you spend so much time on your phone just scrolling, and, you know, you have to be ready to adapt. And, you know, put out fires. And by put out fires, I mean, you know, deal with customers that didn't get a good experience. Because like I said before, without them, you know, you wouldn't have anything. And basically what you have to do is you have to do everything that you can to keep their business. There was this quote actually, hold on, let me find it. Yeah, so here's the quote. So it says, a happy customer tells 3 people, an unhappy customer tells 10 people. So, I mean, that stat should speak for itself, you know, and that was, it was the same for me too. You know, this Dyson right here behind me, quick story about that, you know, the actual vacuum head, let me show you. So this thing right here, the actual vacuum head, you know, it wasn't working. And I tried to open it to clean it. You know, I tried to fix it myself and it didn't work. Nothing was working. So I called up Dyson, or I think it was my girlfriend I called Dyson. Anyway, so I got in contact with Dyson and I told them that, you know, this was happening and I had a problem with it and whatever. And then they asked if, you know, I had warranty and whatever. So we were on hold. So the girl at Dyson puts me on hold, right? So I get in contact with them, she puts me on hold. And she says, you know, let me check it out. So I'm like, all right, she's checking to see if they have it in stock or, you know, anything like that. So I'm still on hold. And then I get an email confirmation on my phone that says your order is on its way. So I'm like, how can my order be on its way? So basically what happened, or what she did, was that she sent me the replacement part, even before she told me that they had it in stock. You know, and that's basically what Gary is saying. Speaking of that, you know, if you don't have a Dyson, this is not sponsored. But, you know, excellent vacuum. It's wireless. It's, you know, the battery life is perfectly fine. You know, if you have a decently sized place or house or whatever, you know, when you're done, you just pop it back on the charger right over there behind me, as you can see, and you know, you're good to go. But you know, like I said, not sponsored or anything like that. If I do find a good, or if I find a good product, or I find something that's, you know, useful, or anything like that, you know, I'm obviously sure to tell people, because just like it said just now, a happy customer will tell 3 people, an unhappy customer will tell 10 people. So I'm sure you can, you know, come up with a scenario in your head where you bought something, or you know, something like that, and you didn't have your experience wasn't that good, and you know, you probably told 5 people. Whereas when you got something, say from Amazon, and it was good, you know, you didn't tell anybody. You told your friend that, yo, I got, you know, this camera, or I got this whatever, and you know, it was fine. But you know, it's statistically proven, and not even just from stats. You know, we do it subconsciously too. We tell people that, like, if I bought this Dyson right here and it wasn't good, then like I would tell everybody, like, you know, Dysons, don't waste your time on them. So basically what I'm trying to say is that when you put in the extra effort for your customers, for your guests, for your followers, whatever it is, when they have a concern and you put in that effort, you put in that work, you know, it's like they will stay. You know, a happy customer is a loyal customer, as the saying goes. You know, if you watch Gary, you don't even have to watch him a lot, but you know, if you watch Gary, you'll notice, or you'll see that, you know, he preaches that your legacy will always be greater than the amount of money that you make. He says legacy is greater than currency. And, you know, I truly believe that. And I think that if you're starting a business, you know, it should be in the business of helping people. It should not be in the business of, can I buy a gold-plated Tesla, or can I buy a gold-plated swimming pool? It should be, you know, can I put positivity into the world? You know, there's this one quote it's a pretty good one, and it's one thing that I'm working towards, and it says, you know, leave the world in a better place than you found it. And you know, that's one thing that, like I said, you know, I'm truly trying to work on, and that's what I tried to bring with these videos. You know, I try to bring positivity you know, and informational videos. And I try to, you know, my number one goal is to help people get through whatever they're going through. And, you know, I truly believe that, you know, these videos, like I truly believe that they help people, which is why I continue to make them. And that's why I wanted to start this series with, you know, the book breakdown, because I truly believe that, you know, reading is very valuable. And I mean, why would you not want to know, you know, more information? Overall, I'd say the book was, you know, a pretty easy read. Completion time for me was about a week and a half. There weren't too many big words. It was pretty easy to understand. And, you know, so Gary V, thank you for this one. Appreciate it. I don't know if you ever watched this, but, you know, we'll see how that turns out. But like I said, you know, this was the first book that basically got me back into reading. Because like I said, when I was reading in school, the books were just boring. I wasn't interested. I'm not sure if I said this before, but you know, I do read for about 30 minutes a day, and it did take me, you know, a week and a half to, you know, finish it, complete it, and you know, all that stuff. So with that being said, you know, I want to thank everybody for watching. You know, this is the first video in the new series, Book Breakdown. You know, if you have any thoughts, good, bad, any suggestions of how I can improve this series, you know, anything like that, please leave your thoughts down in the comments. Any concerns you have, anything like that, you know, the comment section is there, and I'll be down there as usual. And I will be sure to, you know, take your ideas and take your criticism, you know, into mind when, you know, I'm making the next video. And yeah, so I'll link the playlist right here somewhere. Obviously, this is the first video, so this will be the only one here in the playlist right now, but I'll link it there, you know, just in case. And then obviously for, you know, in the future and stuff like that. You know, real quick before I end the video, I just wanted to say that, you know, now's the time that we have to support family-owned businesses and, you know, small businesses. So I'm going to link the book on Amazon, just because it is the most convenient for everybody. If you can, go to a family-owned, you know, a small business, small bookstore, used bookstore, whatever it is, to pick this up, because now's the time that we have to, you know, support them in times like this. Because if we don't, you know, they're probably going to close, and then we're going to lose, you know, say a used bookstore that could potentially, you know, help a bunch of people out. So yeah, you know, if you can, like I said, go get it from a little family-owned business, and, you know, let's support them in times like this, because now's the time, like I said, that you know, we kind of all have to come together, and we kind of have to help each other out. But you know, that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is the first video down in the series, Book Breakdown. Gary, if you ever watch this, it's a good read, and thanks, brother. But, you know, if you do want to pick this one up, like I said, I do recommend it. If you're into marketing, if you're into business, if you're into, you know, all those types of things, I would say this is a good pickup. It's a solid, you know, I would give it a 7 out of 10. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. It's very much appreciated. And as always, thanks for watching. Overall, I'd say the book was a pretty easy read. You know, there weren't too many big words. It was pretty easy to understand. You know, all those types of things. Completion time for me was about a week and a half. I guess the sun wants to peek out right now, so I have to change my exposure.